My name is Johnston. I'm the chairman of Leeds Gilbert and Sullivan Society, and I've actually been a member of that society for 43 years. I started off being interested really when I went to Park Lane College here in Leeds. There was a choir there who also performed little theatrical productions. This lady came along and she said, "Oh, hello, I just wonder if anybody's interested in joining our choir." She was absolutely inspirational. She was one of these people who was just an inspirational person. I mean to rule the earth as he the sky. We really know the sun and I member of Headingley Amateur Operatic Society and also Leeds Thespians, and I did things like the Desert Song at the Grand Theatre. I was in the Sound of Music at the Grand Theatre, which was a treat. But having said that, it was always lovely to come back to the Civic Theatre, and I always maintained that my main society was the Leeds Gilbert and Sullivan Society. I also was lucky to play with Headingley Amateur Operatic Society, Anna in The King and I, at the Leeds Civic Theatre, and that was in a way one of my favourite parts outside the Gilbert and Sullivan era, if you like. I mean to rule the earth as he the sky. We really know our worth, the sun and I. The music is delightful, and as a singer I can say I believe it's the nicest thing you can sing. I think Sullivan was a wonderful composer for the voice. I've always enjoyed singing it really more than his music, more than anything else, I think. The Leeds Gilbert and Sullivan Society started in 1909, and amazingly enough, it's still thriving. We had a rehearsal actually this week, our first rehearsal for Iolanthe, our next production, and about 60 people turned up. It's a very thriving society. In addition to that, we're very fortunate that we have recently won some awards. Again, for our recent production, we won the award for the best musical of the past season, as we have done for the previous 3 years. So it's obviously not just us that appreciate it, I think the audiences appreciate it as well. She borrows light that through the night, mankind may all acclaim her. And truth to tell, she lights up well, so I for one don't blame her. There have been a lot of changes in our amateur theatre, well, particularly here at the Civic Theatre, because we're not here in the Civic Theatre now. We're here at the Carriage Works, which was built in 2005. So that in itself has been a big change. Some people might say, well, oh, it's a modern theatre. But we're very, very fortunate to have this at our disposal in Leeds. It's the performance space is superb, and all the technical side is wonderful and couldn't have been provided at the old Civic Theatre. My house is full of memorabilia. I can hardly get in. I never throw anything away. I found a leaflet from 1982, which is advertising the events going on at the Civic Theatre at that time, which is fine. It was nice to communicate in that way. But of course, we've gone to this now, which is really the same standard as you get from any theatre, the Grand Theatre, the Playhouse, theatres in London, wherever, and we're in there. So I think that's good. And of course, other things that have helped and have been a big change are websites, being able to book through the internet, which you never had, and that sort of thing. So lots of changes, but we as a society, and I think everybody at the Guild and at the Carriage Works, we all have moved along with the times, and we have embraced the new opportunities that we have here. In addition to other memorabilia that I have in my house at the moment, I'm sort of seem to keep the archives. So this book, an old minute book from our society, which goes back to 1936. There are notes in here about people who are not in a particular production. They should be asked to work backstage or work front of house. Well, I could almost say that verbatim they appear in our minutes nowadays. One thing that is quite poignant in here that I found is the 11th of September, again a poignant date, but the 11th of September 1939, it's minuted that war had been declared. It was the outbreak of war. They were supposed to be putting on Iolanthe that year, which actually is our next production, and it says they've had to cancel the production because of the outbreak of war, and then there's a little note saying anybody who had a score will be asked to return them. To prepare for a Gilbert and Sullivan show, it's about 6 months altogether, as far as the cast are concerned anyway. We have auditions for principals about September, and we rehearse throughout the winter, and then the show goes on in March. Obviously it's an all year round thing. We have our production team and our artistic team who are busy thinking up ideas, and the musical team preparing the music. But as far as most of the cast are concerned, it's about 6 months that it takes, about 1 or 2 nights a week. Anybody who wants to come along, who's thinking about joining an amateur society, come along. It's the most amazing hobby. It's completely absorbing. You meet a whole different set of people, and you've got a whole different set of things to worry about and learn and occupy your brain. And then when it comes to the performance, well, it's wonderful, and I can't imagine really anybody not enjoying it. Being involved in amateur operatics is wonderful, and I can't imagine ever stopping.
We're very wide awake.